little bit. There we go. I I'm Schooly, also known as Marshall. That's my real name. And I'm making these videos kind of like an instructional video to kind of maybe somebody will stumble across it and like want to learn how to get into web development. This is going to be super basic. It's probably going to be like a three-part series, maybe. I don't know how long the videos are going to be either. And they're not going to be edited, so you can kind of see the development process of somebody who's just as junior. Um, I've been programming for about a year now, and it's cool. I got a job at a tech company, so uh, worked in what's called an agile environment. That you'll learn more about that if you're interested. Um, so this is going to be making a website, and it's going to be a kind of like a portfolio website. I think will be a good starter project. So the only thing you'll need to do, will need to have is some type of text editor. A computer is will be great to have, but you don't necessarily need one. The type of computer you have, you don't really need anything special as long as you have access to a web browser. You can technically do what we're trying to accomplish here. Um, but I guess I should kind of clarify. You need a development environment that you can kind of see here. This kind of helped me like backtrack a little bit in dev environment. Most developers have a text editor on their machine. For me, for example, I use what's called Visual Studio Code. I also use Notepad++, which is also really good. Doesn't have all the bells and whistles like VS Code does. Other people use Visual Studio, which is like an actual like a it's called a I forgot what it's called, IDE. Right? I don't remember what that stands for. Something development environment. Um, there's other ones out there: Sublime Text, Vim, NeoVim. These all these other things. You can use those, or you can use the internet and go to something called StackBlitz. So for the purposes of this exercise, um, I will show you how to do that. So what you want to do is Google Stack Blitz. Sorry. The first thing that pops up is just StackBlitz, so you can click on that first link. Now, when you get here, you might notice some ads and whatnot. Don't be overwhelmed. This is a modern website. The big text in the middle, the hero text or whatever it's called now. You want to scroll down a little bit, and you'll see like this area where there's a bunch of different logos and words and stuff like this, right? You got Next.js, Nux3, Node, JavaScript, TypeScript, React, Angular, Vue. For somebody who's new, excuse me, for somebody who's new to programming and new to web development, you might be like, what the hell does all this mean? Don't really need to worry about too much of it right now. We're going to be working with one programming language and then two other languages. People just we're going to be working with three languages. I'm not even going to get into that debate now. Some people consider HTML and CSS not to be a programming language. I don't care about that right now. If somebody corrects you on that, they're a petty motherfucker, right? So we're going to be working with the language called HTML, is hypertext markup language, CSS, which is cascading style sheet, and then JS, which is JavaScript, which you see right here. Um, so you can think of HTML, the hypertext markup language, as kind of like if you think of a store, HTML is the foundation, the uh, load-bearing pillars in the middle of the building, all that kind of stuff, the structure. CSS or cascading style sheet is like the paint on the walls. Make things look pretty. Hence the word style sheet. And then JavaScript you can think of as the staff that works in that building, the functionality of that building, its purpose. What does it do? Does it have any functionality? Or is it just an empty warehouse with just HTML and CSS? So you can kind of think about it like that. So we're going to go ahead and if you see this on this StackBlitz website, you scroll down just a little bit. You can kind of see on the left hand side, I haven't scrolled down too much. You see these tabs that say front end, back end, full stack, Vite, docs, blogs, and slides, creative, mobile, vanilla, and native languages. We're going to go ahead and do vanilla. So StackBlitz is, like I said, one of those environments where you can develop on the internet. You don't need something on your machine yet. It's just a nice place to try things out. So you click on vanilla, you'll get some options here. node mon, all these things you don't need to worry about. We're going to click on the one that says static site. Okay. Click on that one. It says HTML/JS/CSS. Once you click on that, it'll open up a file structure for you. A file structure on the left hand side, some code in the middle, and on the right hand side, this is like what do you want to call it? Like this is what your code will look like in the browser. So yeah, that's what that is. So you can see if this is your first time using the site, uh, it'll say index.html, page2.html, script.js, and style.css. For now, we're only going to be working with index.js, so you can delete the other three files. Looks like you can't select multiple. So you can delete page 2, and you can delete script, and you can delete style.css. Okay. Um, Now click on index.js, and why is this not working? Okay, this is interesting. Index.html. That's weird. And if you hear any noise, it's my cat playing with this little mouse thing. So if you hear any banging around, that's her. She loves that thing. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what happened with the file. If you ran into that issue too, just make a new file called index.html. The name of the file doesn't necessarily matter, as long as it ends with .html, the .html extension. Um, okay, I was making sure we record. Okay, so HTML is pretty straightforward, but some people still get a little confused by it. So HTML is we start here. Let's start here with this. It's a language that everything is pretty much encapsulated with these brackets. Okay. Um, so let's go ahead and create that. In fact, I think if you do, yeah. Let's say, for example, you messed up like I did and your page is blank. You can do the command, it's this thing called emit, and basically emit it generates what's called boilerplate, stuff you don't have to type over and over again. So emit is, all you have to do is click your exclamation mark or enter an exclamation mark if you're on your phone or something, and click the enter key or whatever enter key on your mobile keyboard if you're using your phone, and it'll generate what's called boilerplate. So you don't have to type all of this. This is a doc type or document type of HTML. HTML language for me is in English, EN. If it was in French, it would be FR. Spanish, I think, is ES for Espanol or whatever. And then you have this thing here, head. Now you can kind of see there's a little line that extends from line 3 to line 8. Okay, and that's the head. So basically, there's two parts of um, an HTML document. You can kind of see it. Everything here is within the HTML document. It might help if I just indent it a little bit more. See that? So there's two parts. There's the head and the body. So we have the head, and we also have the body. The body is right here between, for me, line 9 and 11. The head is all the information a user won't see. The only thing that the user will see, that as far as I'm aware, is going to be the title. So you can kind of see uh, we're getting something's wrong with this. This is the part of this is why I wanted to be unedited, because this is the development process. You think everything's going good, and then all of a sudden you got a fucking problem. So I wanted to show. Open a new tab. Let's see if this does it. Okay. Come on, baby, show me something. All I'm trying to do is show you the code that I have written. I want to show you what it actually does real time but it looks like it's having an issue. I wonder if Stack Blitz is down or something. Okay. Um, hmm. Interesting. Stack Blitz might be having a little bit of a problem, which is not good. Damn, that sucks actually. I was really hoping. I guess I could continue not using Stat Blitz. Stack Blitz. I keep calling it Stat Blitz. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this. This is weird. Really weird. Uh, but I guess it happens. Anyway, for anybody working who's following along with this, who's working with like an environment like Stack Blitz, you can continue with it if you're just working. If not, I'm going to use my text editor. Same exact rules apply. Nothing really changes except I'm not going to be on the internet, like on the browser, doing my coding and stuff. Yeah, this is weird. Let's see what happens when we get to the full bar, if it ever gets there. This is really throwing a wrench in my engine here, and it hangs. Okay, well screw it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy what we have here. I'm going to go to my text editor. Now I will do this. Make a new file. We're going to print. Excuse me. We're going to print the stuff that we just saw. So everything is exact same. And I'll worry about showing it off a little later, I guess. So we have our HTML file. We're also going to go ahead and save it, and we'll call it um, index.html. So back to what I was talking about. You have um, an HTML document. So everything within line 2 and line 12 for me, or line 13, 14, 15, 16, etc. Everything within this, what's called opening bracket, or I'm sorry, opening tag and closing tag. You know it's a closing tag because you can see this little line here, this little slash, is what's within that tag. Or I'm sorry, is what's within the HTML document. So everything within the head portion, or the head tag, the opening head tag, and then the closing head tag is within the head. And same would be if it was in the body. So like I said, you have two parts of an HTML document. I know I'm repeating myself a lot here, but you have the head and the body. Everything has to go within those. So you can kind of see here we have a thing called meta, and meta. Those are just different tags, metadata tags. These things are things that the user will not see. You go to Facebook, you don't see anything anywhere. Well, you might see the word meta, but you don't see char set, UTF-8, HTTP equivalent, etc. You don't see that stuff. If you go to Facebook on your web browser, you will see the title, and the title will say something like Facebook. The title, for people who were wondering, is this. This right here is the title. So if I were to type a title out that said Facebook, and I ran this program on my browser, my local machine, here it would say Facebook. If I said my first site, saved it, I ran it, it would say my first site here. So the title is the one thing that the user does see on a web browser. So we're going to go ahead and actually call this my first site. If you don't have a title tag, you can make one. To make a tag, all you do, opening, alligator bracket, or I should say it's the less than symbol for some people, maybe be easier. And then you can do the word title, greater than bracket, and then sometimes it may auto complete for you. If you don't, it doesn't auto complete, you could do another less than sign, a slash to signify that it is a closing tag, and then the word title, and then a greater than sign, or greater than alligator bracket. So now you've given your website a title. That's about it. We got to give it some content too. So like I said, everything in the head um, is just things you don't see except for the title. Also, if you're worrying about my navigation through my text editor, I'm a little bit faster than you. It's okay. Uh, I just like using my keyboard to get around quicker and jumping around. So I'll try to remember, like keep that in mind that not everybody can move as fast as I can if they're following along at all. So next we have the body. The body is where all the content will be. This is what everything that is shown on your website is within here. So there's different tags we can use to put inside the body. We have a bunch of different tags. You can look up a lot of them. You should, and I look them up all the time. But the main ones are what's called a header, a heading, a div, and there's a couple others. I guess like an image, video. Yeah, there's a bunch of other ones, but I'll show you. So let's do this. I'm gonna click on something. You may not have this. If you're on StatBlitz and it's working, you should have no problem seeing what you're currently typing on the other side of your screen. But if you don't, you can just follow along with me, and and any questions you can leave in the comments. So I'm gonna run a take that. I want to run it in here. I'm gonna run a local server. Okay, you don't need to worry about this part. This is local server. It says like localhost or 127.0.0.1, and then the port number. This is just like it's not on the internet. This is exactly what you're building right now. This is local to your machine. You can see what your website looks like right now. If somebody went to this on their computer, it wouldn't. It'd be something completely different or nothing at all because you know this is local to your machine. So every change that I make in my text editor, as long as I save that file, or if you're in StackBlitz, as long as you save your file and you make those changes in your text editor on the right hand side, if you're in StatBlitz, or for me on my local host, will those changes will show. So you can kind of tell it says my first site. Oh, wait a minute. That's the title I gave it. That's the title we all should have given it by now. So let's go ahead and add some content. So I'm going to use, let's use a header tag. So anytime we have uh, a tag, remember we're going to open it with a less than sign. Oh, sorry. Less than. We're going to type in a word. You can see there's a lot of different things you can choose from, but we're going to only use a couple. We're going to use the word header, and we're going to use a greater than sign. Now remember, it might autocomplete for you, but if it doesn't, just do it again. And then this time add a slash before the word to identify it as a closing tag. If it's next to each other like this, like mine is on line 11, that's okay. You can click enter to make a space in between. Don't mind this stuff popping up on the screen. I have a thing called Copilot installed, which kind of like guesses what I want to program next. Um, so if it's like this, it's okay. We'll leave it like that for now because some people might. And we're going to add a header. And our header is going to say, welcome to my first site. Now, this is the content. Remember I was saying like anything within the body is the content of the web page? Well, that's true, but more specifically, anything within the tags, such as header, within the body tag, is the content. So here's the content. Welcome to my first site. Now, I should see something on my page, and there it is, top left. Welcome to my first site. So you've now added something. Traditionally, it would be something like hello world, but we don't need to worry about that. I don't know why I can't close this. Okay. Um, let's see here. So we've added a header. A header is going to be at the top of our web page. Technically, you could add something above this. You can add something else. I don't know what you would want to, but you could. But we want to keep the header at the top of our page. It's a header. It's supposed to capture someone's attention in a basic site like this. What you're going to do next is underneath the header, we're going to make another tag, and we're going to call it the footer. Beautiful, right? Head at the top, foot at the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and call it footer. Use a footer tag, opening and closing ones. You can enter to make space in between. Eventually, if you continue doing this, you will make some space in between. But we're gonna go ahead and say, um, you know, let's say this built by colon and then enter your name. I can't spell my own name right. And then actually, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So when we go back to the website, something should be at the bottom of our page, but I have a feeling it's not gonna be. The header should be at the top and the footer should be at the bottom, but I have a feeling it's not gonna be like that. It's not. There's nothing at the bottom. You may be wondering, well, why isn't it at the bottom? If it's a footer, it's supposed to be at the bottom. The feet are on the bottom, the head is at the top. Technically, it is at the bottom. This is your website right here. Everything in your website is like this. All this extra white space, this is nothingness in a sense. So, web browsers have what's called developer tools, and developer tools allow you to program and work in a I'm sorry, uh, work in a development environment on your browser and learn different things and find different problems, debug, work with styling, work with HTML structuring, work with JavaScript functionality. Um, and so to get there, I always just right click and then press go down here and see it says inspect. If you have Chrome, it'll say the same thing. I'm pretty sure all browsers have it. On mobile, I don't think you can do it unless there is a way to do it. I'm not sure how. I've never figured it out. So if you're on a computer, you can easily do this by, I believe also if you do F12, uh, yeah, F, excuse me, F12 does the same thing. But I'm just gonna click on, right click anywhere on this browser and click inspect. So if you click F12, by the way, it'll pull up the dev tools wherever you last were, I believe, if you've ever done it. Hopefully it pulls you up on inspector. Um, if it doesn't, try to find something that says inspector or elements or something like that. I think that the name changes depending on the browser you're using. Excuse me. One second here. Something for work. Okay. um, so the dev tools are really cool because you can see the code that you've written in most cases, as long as it's like a static site like this. You can see the code that you've written in the HTML. You can also see the styling that you've written down here, but we don't have any styling. We're not going to worry about that right now. And then you'd also be able to look at some JavaScript in the console tab and the debugger. Um, so let's see here. Also, there's this little button right here. It's got like a little square with a little your cursor in there. If you click on that, you see it opens up or it turns blue or something. You can drag your mouse along. Oh, why are you not doing it? Usually, if you hover over something, it does it, but I guess not. That's weird. Maybe in like other ones like Brave or Chrome it does, but whatever. Usually, if you hover over some parts of your web page, it'll highlight, and the blue line, the blue like identifier on this side will show you wherever you are. So if I hovered over welcome, it would hover over. It would like change to this line would be blue or red or whatever you have it set up to be. Um, but for now, I guess for me, it doesn't do that, so I have to click. So if I click on welcome, see how it changed? Whatever. So the dev tools are really useful. If you get into web development, you'll spend a lot of time in here, especially you'll kind of like start making your way further and further this direction, if that makes sense. Like it's kind of funny to think that. Right now we're in this inspector tab, which is focusing on HTML and CSS. All right. Eventually, you'll probably make it working more towards the JavaScript, the functionality of the web page. You're kind of working in the console and the debugger. Then you're going to start working with APIs and whatnot, and you're going to start working in the network tab. Style editor, I guess, should be more over here, but whatever. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to skip over that one. Then you're worrying about that performance of your website. Are these images performing well, or should I get something like, instead of PNG files, should I get SVG files? It can go on and on and But anyway, if I click over here, you can kind of see like this all this white space, even if it's just underneath my footer. You see how it doesn't take me anywhere? It just takes me to the HTML document. That's it. There's nothing else here. There's no other content. So we need to, you could style the footer to be at the bottom no matter what, even if there's no content in between the footer and the next element above it. But we're going to add some content. So let's try this out. We're going to add a, oh, sorry, a div tag, D-I-V. I don't know what div stands for. I honestly don't know. I never looked it up. I never cared to look it up. I just know that's where a lot of my content goes. We're going to add two div tags actually. So add one, and then underneath it, add another. So you should have the word div technically 4 times in your text editor right now. And for the purposes of keeping this clean, we're going to open them up this time. When I say open them up, I mean literally put your cursor in the middle between the two, the opening and closing tag, and click enter once for both of those, like that. So we're going to add, let's go with a paragraph. Or actually, we're going to add a paragraph, but before that, we're going to add a heading. So I said there's a thing called a header, which we've used. The header is mostly for the top of the page. It's supposed to really capture the attention. It's like if you're reading a book, the chapters usually all bold and whatnot. That's kind of like your header, right? Where a heading is more kind of like if you were reading, I don't know, a manual of some sort where you have, section B, subsection A, J 521 or whatever the hell. It's still like bolded and or italicized or styled a certain way to stand out more than the normal text, but it's not quite the thing that captures the attention. I guess I could show an example if I still had statlets up, but we'll get there. So let's add a heading. Now there's 6 different types of headings, and the tags for those headings are H and then a number. So H1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. H1 is the largest of the 6. Going down or going up in numbers is decreasing the size. It's kind of weird, but that's how it is. For example, let's try one. Let's try H6 and then we'll try an H1. So remember, H in this case stands for heading. We're going to opening tag, and we're going to go H6 closing tag, or closing bracket, and then the closing tag itself. Again, we want to keep this clean, so let's start opening up these tags. And now this is a heading, so let's say a little about myself, and save it. If you're in a text editor like me, if you're on StackBlitz, it should do it automatically. And then let's go to what we got and close that. And there it is. See how it stands out from the normal text? It's a little bit bold, but it's still small. It's actually smaller than the other text. The footer at least, and then it should be smaller than the header. Now, let's change that. All you have to do this time is change the 6 to a 1. Just do it. I did it twice because I feel like everybody else might have to. And let's see what happens. Go back to our website and look how big that got. It stands out. You can make the H1. Some people don't really use headers. They use headings. But whatever. It's your choice. You do what you want to do, right? It's your program. As long as it's not for a job. Okay, so we've added a heading. So we're actually going to go with a heading of 4. Let's see what that looks like. That's pretty good. A little about myself. Let's go ahead and capitalize those words. Okay, we have a heading, and there it is. A little about myself. Now we want to add some more content. We've added like a title or like this is the chapter. Now chapter needs text, right? We're going to add a paragraph. And the paragraph tag is in HTML is super easy. You don't have to type out the word paragraph. Thank God. All you got to do is do your opening bracket and then the letter P and close it. That is a paragraph tag. Okay, so open that up and write a little bit about yourself. It could be I'm going to just use maybe 2 sentences. I don't know what that thing just guessed. I hope it wasn't any crazy information about me. Actually, let's see. This is perfect. Again, I have a tool called GitHub Copilot that assumes what I want to type next. I don't want to type any of this because none of this is true. Thank God. But let's type something out. So, my name is Marshall Burns, and I am showing people how to program a static website using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Boom. That's one sentence. Let's add one more. Uh, I just got a kitten named. I don't know how to spell her name. Ophelia. I picked the name Ophelia. Ophelia, and she is a little terror. I like that. And she is the cutest cat in the whole wide world. Okay, I've added two sentences. You can add more, you can add less if you want. Let's go here and we can see. There it is. My name is Marshall Burns and I am showing you how to program a static website using HTML and CSS and JavaScript. I just got a kitten named Ophelia and she is the cutest cat in the whole wide world. Okay, so we've added that. Now, we're going to add another p tag. So underneath the closing tag of our first paragraph, for me it's on line 19, click enter and add another paragraph. Open it up and say my hobbies. Let's talk about your hobbies or things you like to do now or things you want to get into. My hobbies. Oh, this is a good opportunity here. This is a really good opportunity. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. Copilot's helping me teach. Let's delete that. Keep the p tag that you've just made. Keep the second one. Sorry, cat doing cat things. Um, but we're gonna add a new tag. There's a lot of different tags out there. Not everything has to be within divs and p tags or paragraphs. There's a lot of different ones, and we're gonna go through a few of the common ones. Maybe not all today, but I'll try to go through a couple of them. So let's make a list. Now, there's two types of lists, as far as I know. There actually might be more. Just two types of lists for now that we're gonna worry about in HTML. There's an unordered list, which is the tag. The tag for that is UL, an unordered list. Instead of basically an unordered list, there's no order to it. There's just things in a list format. That makes sense. It will make more sense when I tell you the other one. The other list is called an ordered list. So you have ordered and unordered. An ordered list is an order. There's a structure to it. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. An unordered list is bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. That's how it works. We'll do both, uh, and we'll go from there. So first we'll do an ordered list, which is a tag of OL, ordered list. Enter. So remember, you're doing this inside that second p tag that you've created. Now, inside our ordered list tag, we're going to add what's called list items. Now, list items have to be in their own tag. You can't just make ordered list and go 1, 2, 3. You see how this is kind of telling me what not to do? It's warning me. You can't do what I just did. Sorry, one second. Sorry about that. Um, you can't do what I just did. You have to have list items. A list item is yet another tag you have to use. So we're going to do list item, which is li. So anytime you have an ordered list or an unordered list, you have to have list items inside of there. For each thing you want to put in that list, that thing has to be inside of a list item. So I hope you're staying with me. I hope I'm not confusing anybody. So currently we have three tags. We're kind of like three tags deep. We have a paragraph tag. Inside that paragraph tag, we have an ordered list. Inside that ordered list, we are currently on our first list item. When it's an ordered list, you don't have to number them. So I don't have to type the word or the number one period and then this, this is the first thing, first item. I don't have to type the number one, okay? Because it's ordered. It already knows that, so it adds every list item you have, it adds a number. So remember, this paragraph is going to be kind of hobbies. So we're going to say hobbies that you like. For me, a hobby that I like, let's just say programming. Okay. Now let's add a second list item. Underneath the closing tag of your first list item, add another li. Open it up. Hobbies. Cats isn't a hobby. That's kind of weird. Gardening for me. Let's close my project. Sorry about that. Underneath that closing tag, add one more li. Open it up. And let's go with cooking. Sure, it's not really probably mine, but for the purpose of this, we'll do that. So we should have a paragraph tag with an ordered list inside of it, with 3 list items inside of that, and inside each list item should be some type of a sentence or a word or something that you like to do, some of your hobbies. Let's go back to our browser, and you can see there. I never typed out the number 1, 2, or 3, but because this is an ordered list, if we use our developer tools, which you'll be using a lot if you get into web development, um, inside of our paragraph tag. Oh, did I mess something up? No, I didn't. Oh, okay. That's interesting. It's looking at it a weird way. But here's our ordered list. So again, I wish it highlighted as I hovered. Maybe I'll use a different browser next time. This, when I clicked on that, if you highlight over it, it should hover over the OL tag ordered list. Okay. Next, code's starting to get a little filled up. We're already at 39 lines or so. Underneath the OL closing tag. Hey, stop it! Scratching up my furniture. What's wrong with her? Man, I thought cats get the zoomies at night, but she's just going ham. All right. Underneath the closing tag of the ordered list, for me it's on line 31. I'm going to click enter. I'm going to make a new line, and we're going to make a new tab. This is going to be an unordered list. So that is, instead of OL, you're going to use UL. Boom, boom, boom. Enter. Same thing applies. You need list items. So if you want, you can enter the same information you did, but I'm going to use something different. So we're going to use list item, open it up, and we're going to do a new hobby. So let's say working out. Underneath that closing tag, add a new list item. We're going to do 3 of these total. So after working out, sure, playing video games, and then do one more. For me, it's going to be reading. Actually, I was going to write that. Perfect. When you're done, your site you should see this. I didn't specify numbers. I could have, but it would be a bullet point regardless. So the first one that we have here with the numbers is ordered. It goes in order, 1, 2, 3, going all the way down. The next one is unordered, just gives you bullet points. So that's the difference. Excuse me. So this time we're going to add a couple of things. We're going to add a heading to each of these lists. In fact, I might just make it all into one list, to be fair. I might just have it as an unordered list. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my ordered list and just keep the unordered list because I like the bullet points more than I like the numbers. So now my site looks like this, and the code looks like this. Remember, we're working within that p tag here. Everything I have highlighted is what we kind of just did minus what I deleted a second ago. So after the opening p tag, the opening paragraph tag, right before the opening tag of our unordered list, click enter. Now there should be a space between the two. And we're going to add a heading. And that heading is going to be a heading, I don't know, go with like a heading 5. And inside that heading 5, we're going to put some, just say, some of my, my hobbies. And there we go. Kind of, be a little bit more clean with it. Like this list just comes out of nowhere. It could be assumed that it's a list of your hobbies, but let's tell people some of my hobbies. Okay. All right. So we have a paragraph. You can add to your paragraph that's a little bit about yourself. We have a list of things we like to do. You can add or take away some list items for this. What else do we need? I think we need to work on some images. So for this, I'm not going to use any personal images on my machine. I'm going to use one from the internet. Um, so let's go navigate to right above our div tag. Our first, also, I'm sorry, I made two divs from earlier. The second div that you have, if you still have it, for me it's on line 35 and 36, or now just line 35 because I deleted some space there. Delete that. We're not going to use it right now. We're going to finish this off with adding an image. Okay. Navigate to the end of your header, the end of the closing tag. Click enter. Make sure there's a space between the end of the header tag and the opening div tag. And we're going to add an image. So an image is going to be the first tag we use that uses what's called, or takes in what's called um, values. So by that I mean there's these things for tags called attributes. And I'll get more into that when we start like the CSS video, whenever that'll be. Um, these attributes have what's called values. I'll show you what I mean. So an image tag in HTML is all the tags start the same way, always opening bracket and closing bracket. There's always at least one of those. And it's actually going to show, and I can show you what I mean by that too. Um, and we're going to do IMG. Now, an image tag, if I recall, I might be wrong here. If I recall, an image tag is what's called self-closing. So after the word the letters IMG, do a space, do a slash, and then closing tag. Okay. Now, I'm getting an error because that's what my text editor is telling me. We're not done yet. Self-closing tag ends with a slash. I think images are good to do that. I can't remember. So much information you have to remember. You see how on line 22 for me, our heading 5 has an opening tag and a closing tag. Well, some tags, some elements, tags are also being called elements. By the way, I should have prefaced this whole little lesson with that. Sometimes these can be called elements. Tags kind of gets a little annoying. Element is probably a better term, actually. It's probably the more correct term. Um, some elements can't be self-closing, whereas an image tag, and I think a couple others, probably a few others, can. In fact, honestly, probably all of them could be self-closing if you do a little JavaScript with it and all that, but we won't worry about that. So let's look back at our image tag. So we're going to add an attribute. An image tag needs a source. Where's the image coming from? We don't just paste images into our code. It's not going to work. We don't just do that. We give the computer or the browser the path to an image or a video or something like that. The path. I guess actually I was wrong when I said earlier about our first tag with attributes and values. Technically the meta tags are perfect examples. The meta tag here, the meta element, um, the name of the element is meta, But then you have this light blue color. Maybe it's a little different color for you. But then it has another color. And it's like, what is this stuff? Well, this is perfect. Meta is the name of the element or the tag. The word name in this case on line 6 is the attribute. And then the attribute is given a value. The value is identified by using an equal signs after the attribute. And then in quotes, always within quotes, as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware, um, is the value. That's within quotes. So let's go back to our image tag. I'll show you what I mean. We need a source for our image. So to get a source for our image, we're going to go image tag or image element, img space src. Now we have an attribute. We can kind of see how source is light blue. Now we need to give that attribute a value equals. And for me, it automatically popped up a couple of quotation marks, but let's say it didn't for you. You're going to do double quotes, and then you're going to give a value to this source. What is the source? The source for me is going to be a website, a picture's URL. So let's go to um, a site called, I think, Pexel. Pexel.com. That's not it. Uh, what was it called? Free, free. Did I ever use this before? Free images. Yeah, it was. Oh, Pexels.com. We're gonna go to a site called Pexels.com. Pexels.com has a bunch of free images. You can use stock photos and videos. We're gonna pick one of these images. That looks pretty cool. How about this one? For me, this is the link to this image. I'm going to copy that link. I'm going to go back to my text editor. In the between the quotation marks, I'm going to paste it with Control V. You could just right click and then click paste, whatever. And there it is. We're also going to fix this error. So because the web is very much, or it's supposed to be very inclusive for people, not everybody can see. So some people use people who can't see but can hear use screen readers. So they go to a website, they'll navigate Facebook, and they can't see the picture that you just put up, but maybe Facebook has something where the images have like an alt text, alternative, like a descriptor almost. So our image pops. Oh, that's not our site. Let's see if it shows here. It's not. The debugging begins. I wonder if it's just because the alt test. Oh, 1 second. I don't know what's going on with that. Run it again. It's going to take me to the wrong browser, but that's okay. All right, image is not showing. Let's try this now. Sorry. I'll explain everything I've done as long as I get it to work. There we go. Oh, all right. My goodness, that's a large image. Okay. Whew. All right, let's take a step back. I fixed the problem. Let's go back a little bit. So we're talking about that alt text. So not everybody can see, not everybody can hear, but some people who can't see can hear. So they'll use screen readers. So if they're going by an image on a page and they can't see it, maybe that alt text that we apply in the code reads and it describes, gives a descriptor to what that image is. Or maybe the image, in some cases, like mine didn't. If I go like this, maybe the image doesn't load. I just broke the code now. Bear with me. But we're going to give an alt text. If the image doesn't load, we have applied a descriptor This is an image of a deer. Let's see what we get. Close this. I keep forgetting to go to the right browser. I'm going to zoom in because I zoomed out a little bit. You see how here we have this little image, like this little file looking thing that's like broken. It's like cut in pieces. Basically to say this thing doesn't exist. It's not here. It doesn't work. But we have some text that says this is an image of a deer. Alt text can be utilized to say, hey, like the image isn't here, but this is what it is. If it was here, this is what you would see, or whatever. So that's what alt text is. I'm gonna make this not so capital. For me, I'm gonna use an image of a deer, and we're gonna be a little bit more descriptive. We'll say a gray scale image of a deer. And also we're gonna get the appropriate link, um, which I broke. So 1 second, and this is the appropriate link. So remember, the link goes within the um, double quotes. Some people might want to use a picture of themselves, right? I mean, this is your portfolio site. This is a site about you. You might want to use a picture of yourself. Well, in that case, you would use a path, a file path. I don't have any pictures of myself on here. And I don't think I have any. Actually, I do have an image of like a sword or something from my other program. Maybe next video, we can talk about paths, file pathing. But for the purpose of this, I'm just going to use uh, URL. Technically, it's a path, just not to my machine or my information. So we go back to our site. Oh my God, wrong browser. My image is very large because it's probably like whoever captured this is a photographer that uses a very large capture thing. Like I'm waving to a baby. But we've added an image. So yeah, there we go. I think that's where I want to stop it. This has gone on for a while. 50 minutes. Holy shit. 50 minutes. God damn. I hope if anybody watches, I hope you learned a little something. Hopefully you're like interested in it. Next time we'll do a little bit more HTML, but then we'll start moving into some CSS, and then a video after that, a little bit of CSS maybe, or just straight into JavaScript after that. Man, if anybody watched this and you liked it, um, let me know in the comments if you have questions, if you have concerns, complaints, bitches, moans, complaints. Put it in the comments. I'm gonna put this on both my YouTube channels, my random YouTube channel that I used to use a lot that I don't anymore, and my programming YouTube channel. Um, Unedited, cat in the background doing stuff, me yelling at her to get off of stuff and scratching shit. Probably work alerts going off I haven't even heard. Uh, I think it went well. So we have started to build our first. We started to build our first website. It's a little janky right now, but that's what it's about. The process. So, thank you for watching. See you next time.